Yeah. No, so when I can't remember what it was. She I had to take her upstairs for something. She wasn't listening, and so I'll take her upstairs just to like remove her from the environment, so there's not
Yeah.
a lot of stimulation. And and so I took her upstairs, and while I was taking her upstairs, she just like, pooh, knocked me good in the face. So I didn't say anything, like, I didn't respond. I brought her upstairs, and I asked her how she was feeling, and um, I talked it through with her, and then she told me that she was hungry, and I'm like, "Okay, well, that makes sense."
Mm-hmm.
So if you're joining us, I'm talking to Meg Thompson, and she's talking to me, and I'm Brittany.
I am talking to you.
Oh, did you hit go live, Meg?
It's yeah, but I don't think it's doing it. Oh, I see me.
You see it?
No. Oh, I do.
Hit go live.
Now can I watch myself on this, or do I watch myself
No,
back
watch
on
yourself on
YouTube?
Restream.
Okay.
The
Oh yes,
Instagram always lags.
I'm delayed.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
gets real irritating. Okay, so we were just talking about how different it is being a teacher and managing behavior and being a parent and managing behavior. And
Yeah.
one and my daughter knocked me in the face, and I had to like deal with that, like not responding, and just accepting that she's having big feelings, and no, you can't hit, but that's not the time to teach that you can't hit. Like,
No.
there's
I
no
mean,
process
just say
there.
okay, whatever. I mean, right? Just having a. I remember when I taught. Right, I taught kindergarten, so little kids. And I thought, what if the mom was at the right? We had an upstairs kindergarten. What happens if the mom was at the bottom of the stairs? Would she appreciate the way I was using strategies and talking to her child, and that I sounded loving and empathetic and compassionate? And then when you were the mother, you were like, there is nobody at the bottom of the stairs to help me, nor to check my behavior. And it's a totally different hat you're wearing because it's
Mhm.
your kid. Where as a teacher, it's somebody else's child. That's a very different thing, especially if you have a kid that either has your diagnosis, so you're struggling with the same thing, or is just like you. That's tricky. Or is opposite of you. So, like, I'm fast paced. My son's a little slower. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
My daughter is me.
Mm. And, right, temperament wise, the one just like you is the hardest. Because, right, I remember my husband asked me one time, he said, well, what do you do when he's so impulsive? And I was like, heck if I know. I don't know. I'm also impulsive. If I
Right.
knew, I would do it myself. And he goes, and he had to say this, Meg, if you weren't the mom in this house and you were the behavior consultant in this house, what would you tell the family to do? And it was like I metaphorically took off my mom hat, put on my
Mhm.
professional hat, and I was like, oh, and I rattled off all this
Yeah,
stuff. And he wanted to say to me, hey, dingbat, do that. Oh, right.
it's not that
No,
easy.
it's not that. It's so hard because there's also emotions in love that is different.
Well, I think too that when we're teaching, we get into the environment, and
Mm.
a lot of those responses have been automated,
Yeah, right,
like
right.
not reacting. You don't like you don't have people, like other adults, watching you and judging you. Like, that is definitely, whether you even like think that you care or not. Like, you can say that you don't care all
Of
you
course,
want,
care a
like,
little. Of course.
but you care a little. Like, you subconsciously care, and it's going to influence your stress response. So I think that with me struggling with the fact that I could be the most patient person in the world in my classroom, and with my daughter, it's different when especially when we're out in public. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I was raised with a what I say goes. Like, you better not talk back or I'm gonna whoop your, like,
Yep.
that's how my parents raised me.
And you
Raised
can't
me
mess up at
strongly.
school. You can't like get mad and yell. You can't get mad and hit back. You can't. You'll be
Mm.
fired. You can't. You're not allowed to do those
Well,
things.
yeah.
But at home, who's checking you, who's making sure you're
Yeah.
doing the right strategy, who, right? If you
Yeah.
did hit back or yell back, like, is anybody gonna know? I mean, the kid will know, and it's could be traumatic, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really tricky.
It is. It's way trickier than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I said a lot of things before I had kids. I think the funniest one is that I said that I wasn't going to have, you're going to laugh so freaking hard. I said I wasn't going to have any toys. I wasn't going to have toys.
No toys.
No,
None?
not the plastic colorful
Oh,
toys that
they
that
make
make
noise.
noise. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wanted to be like strict Montessori, and
Oh, yeah.
my living room's a mess. I've
With
got
those
like
plastic toys that make noise.
yes.
And I taught kindergarten for 10 years and I did not have kids. So I gave parents all sorts of crappy advice. I mean,
And they were like,
I feel like I want to call all 125 kids or however many kids I had over 10 years, 250 kids, and be like, hi, it's Meg. I'm really sorry I said to close the door to go to the bathroom because I tried that. It doesn't work. I'm going to the bathroom, rubbing Brennan's back, being like, it's okay, buddy. Shh, 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 as I'm trying to go to the bathroom. It's like, what? So it is, and the only way to cure the crappy advice is to have a kid.
yes.
Being a good aunt is not a thing. Being
Mm-mm.
none of you have to. So right, I also go into early childhood spaces, and there are like 20-year-olds taking care of babies, and they don't have babies, and they're like, oh, this mother, and I was like, oh, you just wait.
Just
You wait.
wait.
You
Yeah.
just wait. When this baby cries all the time, you'll have them sleep on your chest too, so everybody can sleep.
Yeah. Oh man.
You'll feed them out of a bottle and not breastfeed because it's not working and the kid has to eat and they're crying and you want to
we have a lot. I feel like we have a lot of trauma around our pregnancy and infancy because every time we get together, it's what we
But you know what, Britt? Everybody does. And I know that people are like, I didn't. And I was like, well, you're a liar. Because I think we all don't spit it out. Because women are not honest with other women to say first of all, it's gonna hurt like the Dickens.
Oh,
And
man.
it's gonna suck. You're gonna feel like you don't want your kid because it's hard and you can't give them back. I thought I was gonna give mine back to somebody like I did in childcare.
Yeah.
And you're gonna feel like a bad mother and your body's not going back the way it used to. You're not having abs again. You're gonna pee your pants when you laugh. Like just get
Or jump. Nobody talks about that.
No.
I had no idea I wasn't going to be able to like do box jumps, jump rope, jump on a trampoline. You pee your pants.
And your boobs are in a different spot. They're not cute. You're going to find bras to make them like, it's just so, it's so, but everybody I think has that. And they're just like, oh, this is so wonderful. And I'm like, ugh. So I tell people how it is. I tell people how, when I see pregnant women now, I'm like, I feel like I want to have a meeting with them.
Yeah.
Here, is this your first time? Let me tell you how it's going to be.
That poor girl at Ash's party. Like,
yeah, and I think if you're more prepared, if I was more prepared, if I knew I was there, if I even knew there was postpartum anxiety, I would have prepared differently. I don't have anxiety or depression before nor way after having Brennan. But right after having Brennan, I had both. And that is why I have one child, because I am not doing that again. Nope. No, I don't like when my brain does that thing. Stuff.
No, yeah. I'll never go through the infant stage again.
No.
I have
love
baby fever,
other infants because they're cute and they smell good and I love them and then I give them back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny because
people, Britt, that have 4 kids and you're like, what? You had to do infant 4 times?
She's talking about having another one.
No, I was like, no. If I ever approach you and say I'm pregnant, it is not a congratulations. I'm probably going to cry and have to go to the funny farm. Also, I'm too old. So 47 is too old.
Yeah, like,
dangerous.
I've heard different stories from women all over the world that Like in the Philippines, it's super normal for older women to have babies and not to have any issues. But they have a much different lifestyle.
That's true. I just don't. No, I don't. I don't want to birth a baby, nor do I want infants again.
Well,
I am really good with 12. My Brennan's 12, and I'm a rock star mom at 12.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna be great at 12, but I don't know. I have no idea. Like I don't know what to trust anymore. Like because
That's true, because I thought it was going to be a good
know.
mom in the beginning, and I was a shit show at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was terrible. It
Yeah.
was so bad.
And people are like, these two girls shouldn't have children.
Children.
Too late, everyone. Don't worry, we only have two amongst us. We both had one, and we thought that's good, and then we
Yeah.
never had another one. So just in
Yeah.
case. But I think
Yeah.
the people aren't honest about it.
We are.
And just like behavior, and just like all the things we have to do in our jobs, is honesty is the best. It helps you chase the why, right?
Oh,
If I was pregnant, I would know. Okay, now I really know how it is. I would prepare differently, but I was lied to.
yeah.
Those
Well,
moms lied to me.
I remember breastfeeding and just
Ugh.
like thinking that like really it did cross my mind because postpartum is such a strange mental experience. There is nothing like it. And I
No.
remember just in the middle of breastfeeding, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's like laying next to me, and I just had this feeling like that she was like sucking the life out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, that's so dark and twisted and terrible. But it's those thoughts can go through your mind postpartum, especially
sure.
right after. And you definitely, like, I had strong catastrophization, which I just thought like terrible things were going to happen because that's what happens to your hormones, and your hormones influence your brain and your consciousness.
And
So,
you can know it's your hormones, but you still can't do anything about it.
no, yeah, yep.
You'd be like, oh, that's my estrogen playing a part. How do I
Oh
make
yeah,
it
and estrogen. Like, what really needs to be talked about? How estrogen influences ADHD and how menopause influences
my headaches?
estrogen and serotonin. And
Yes.
I mean,
But-
that's not what we're
That's
out
what
here
we're
for.
talking about. But I have been running every month because I have really high estrogen, and I've been everywhere, and they're all like, it's a male dominated field. They don't care about estrogens. No one's done the research you just talked about in a way that brings it to a mass community and a mass population, so we can make medicine, so we can give someone like me strategies. I miss work every month because my headaches are so bad.
Mm.
And the families just know. I'm like, oh, sorry, I got a headache today. I can't.
Yeah.
Right? I work with kids that can be challenging and are hard. I'm doing that in quotation marks because no one wants to be known as hard.
Right.
That need additional support, and they don't care that I have a headache. It's just better that I don't go, because what am I going to be like? Oh, I have a headache today. I'm sorry that people are bullying you, but my head really hurts.
My head hurts so bad.
And they're probably like, shut up, lady, you should have stayed home. I'm in perimenopause. I think, you know what? This is supposed to be about behavior. All of a sudden, it's going to be about women's health issues.
I know.
and postpartum and pregnancy and children.
Right. There are a lot of accounts though for menopause, and that is awesome because I know that like my mom didn't have that.
Right.
And I have women, female friends that are going through it, and their moms didn't talk to them about it, and they didn't grow up with social media, and so they're not on it like that. And so I'm like, no, you've got to follow like these accounts because they do a fantastic job talking about menopause because it's not talked about.
No, and I want to sell my ovaries or throw them in the ocean, put them in the garbage. I don't know. But
do something.
You could take them out, but then that's its own situation. And I'm like, oh, is it now? They were like, well, you might be 55. And I was like, I'm going to have 8 more years of headaches every month.
Oh no.
8
Sorry for
times
your
12,
sleeping out.
that's 96 headaches.
Yeah. No.
I might poke my eyeballs out. I don't know.
Aw.
I know, it sucks. But I don't know. I've talked to everybody. So if anybody's out there knows what to do. And I've done all the things everybody's told me. I've cut out food, I've taken progesterone, I've done birth control, all the things. I've done.
What about magnesium?
Yep, take that every day.
So do I. And if anybody's listening, any woman out there is listening, American women are super deficient in magnesium. I mean, talk to your doctor. Like,
Because we're
make
not doctors. We're
do
behavior
that
consultants.
responsibly. I'm not a doctor, but I will say I added magnesium to my my vitamins, and it has helped me sleep. It has helped a lot of ADHD related issues. It's fantastic. I'm pretty sure it influences. I don't know. I don't want to say
I know. I
anything.
used to know too because someone, right? I got a naturopath in the middle of COVID, so it didn't matter where the person was because you couldn't go to the office anyway. So I had someone in Australia, and she told me why. Right, I was taking melatonin. She told me why. Magnesium. She told me why, and I went like this. Okay, and I wrote it all down. And now who knows where that paper is?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I switched your name. Look at that.
Oh, what did it say?
Behavior. So teaching to a riot.
Oh, I mean, I teach to a riot also.
I know.
Yeah.
So okay, so we were.
So what are we really talking about, Britt?
Right. We were supposed to come on, and I think the last time we got together, because we do this once a month.
Yeah.
Last time we were just kind of introducing what we'd be talking about. So, surprise, everybody.
The last month, that's not what we talked about. But we have an ADHD brain and drunk squirrels, so
yeah,
it's always going to be exciting. You should tune in every month to see what other weird things we talk about.
Right. But no, today we were supposed to talk about self-sabotaging behavior. Yeah. I want to start this with a story. Yeah. And then if you have a story, everybody loves stories.
Of course.
So when I used to work in a behavioral K-12 or K-8 program. And I had a student that I had from the time he was in second grade to the time he was in 8th grade. So I had him for 6 years. And his behavior, when he first came, it was very avoidance and sleep. And through the techniques, the program was incredibly reward based. And this
which we love.
Got the rewards. Yeah. So guess what? It didn't work, and it made it worse.
Wait, Britt, it didn't work?
It did not work.
Weird.
Surprise. Yeah.
Just like research says it's going to.
Oh, I have so many. I have so many stories. There's so many stories. But this student, we had Fun Friday every Friday.
Just so you can take it away, probably. So you could take it away. Fun Friday's only created so you can take it away from the kids that don't earn it.
100%. Yeah. And they would be having a great week, and then it would get to Thursday, and they would do something. And this was every Thursday. They would do something, and they would get Fun Friday taken away. And at the end of this kid's career, everybody was in agreement that this child was self-sabotaging. And it was repetitive. It was every single time. I think in the 6 years I had that student, I can remember them attending Fun Friday twice, and they never made it to whole school Fun Fridays, like where the whole school gets together and does a celebration. They never made that, and they weren't ever able to go on a field trip, even though Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday they had perfect behavior. And when you research sabotaging behaviors, There's a lot said about it in the sense that students will subconsciously blow it so that subconsciously or consciously so that they can attribute the blowing it to a intentional choice that they made or
Yeah,
to a
right.
choice that they made and
Mhm.
not associate it with who they are.
Yeah,
And
I meant
uh,
to do it. Yeah.
I meant to do it. In this student's case, I think it was definitely a mix of that and the anxiety
Mm.
of reaching Fun Friday, because sometimes the student would reach the hour before and they would blow it. Well, I don't ever think they got that close, but it was the morning of, because that was
Mhm.
always a big deal too. Like everybody would mention it to them when they'd see them. Like,
Shut
oh,
up.
you got Fun Friday. I'm so proud of you. Da, 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 da. And then like an hour later, the kids,
Yep.
mm, using the fire extinguisher in the hallway. Like,
Oh, he blew it big time. So it wasn't just like I knocked a chair down. That
no,
was like that's a big
at
thing.
my program,
Yeah, it was like,
no,
oh,
no, it wasn't just that they knocked the chair down. That's that's small potatoes. But yeah, oh man. So self-sabotaging behavior, it's definitely recognized. It's definitely a thing. It is psychological and it can really harm students' relationships with their peers in the school. um, and it's just so sad to see, you know.
it's so sad to see too, especially I see kids self-sabotage when it comes to like academics. I call it coherent complexity. Like it can't be too easy or boring because then you're out. But
Yep.
that one is easier to understand. But
Mm.
it can't be too hard, something I've never tried. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes before I get it right. I'm going to intentionally not do the work. So it's intentional instead of me being stupid or
Mm-hmm.
dumb. So right, coherent complexity means what's the middle? And the middle for some kids is like just past boring, not
Mm-hmm.
really far into that coherent complexity. And I see kids do it all the time. And it is a lot of times that's when I chase the why behind not doing work. It is because the coherent complexity is messed up for a child. That gets too hard, or I'm not going to, or they're perfectionistic, right? Temperament wise, they're perfectionistic. They want to do it their way. There's no flexibility in how it can get done. Then they just don't. Then they self sabotage it. And then we say things like, well, you're going to fail, not going to
Yeah.
graduate. They're thinking,
A second grader, you're not going to graduate.
and like, they were like, I didn't think I was going to graduate. This whole time, I didn't think I
Right?
was. Wait, did you have a time that you
Oh,
thought I was going to, and now I'm not going to? Because I always thought I wasn't going to. Yeah. So, and it, and and I know why we throw out these things. Not you and I, but I mean why the world and society throws out these things because we think like, oh, I'm going to fail an F. Ooh, that's a real big one. Or oh, I'm not going to graduate. Well, I better get my act together then. And we want that to be the reaction, and
yeah. Yeah.
it's
But
just they're just like, who cares?
right. Right. I think with grades and with the threats of not graduating, it makes it worse because the kids are tired. Like it makes you sound like the that old record that they've
Oh,
heard over and over and over again. And that just makes them associate you with all of those negative experiences that they've had with their teachers that have said those things. Like, um, so with self-sabotaging behavior, what do we do?
Right. So I think that we have to, right? I always think we have to slow it down because when they're self sabotaging, there's a why behind the behavior. What
Mhm.
is it? Is it that it's too hard? Is it that I have social anxiety around Fun Friday? I've never actually been. I just hear about it. It gets taken away every Friday. So like I don't actually know what's going to happen. I need a plan and a schedule, but I never get there.
Mhm.
So right, what is the reason that they're self-sabotaging? And a lot of times in schools it's fun, fast, and easy, right? That's why we pick reward systems.
Mhm.
And when we have to stop and slow it down and not pick reward systems, not right, that are steeped in shame, guilt, and embarrassment, what do we do then? And I always say you start a conversation. I notice,
Mhm.
buddy. Right? Did anybody say I notice, buddy, every Thursday or every morning of Fun Friday? You do something, and I bet there's a reason.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. I'm missing it, but I want to know. And then you just kind of leave it. So people, when I say have a conversation, they think we're going to have one conversation. It's going to be 10 minutes. We're going to figure out the solution. We're going to be done. That falls into fun, fast, and easy.
Mhm.
Sometimes, like, right? If this kid has a diagnosis, a hard home life, trauma, any of the things, developmental disability, whatever, and life has been harder for them, Fun Friday, they don't even care. They just always
Right.
lose it. It's never going to be a thing. I didn't think
Yeah.
I was going to graduate. I didn't, right? And I think when we say things like, well, you're not going to graduate, they're thinking, wait, deep down or subconsciously, they're thinking, do you think I'm not going to graduate? You think I'm dumb and I can't graduate? You don't think I can do this? Oh, okay. Then I won't do it.
Right.
Right? You're the
For
person, you're
sure.
my teacher. You're the one who's supposed to think I'm going to make it. So we
Yeah.
have to teach the why. We have to start this conversation. And we just have to keep, right? And then, like, what are their interests? Jump into
Mhm.
those. Right now, we're going to take care of social and emotional needs and keep asking questions. What do you think about self sabotaging?
I think so. I really like the leaving the conversation open. So if you say, I noticed that dot 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 on Thursdays, this happens. And I'm curious about it.
And just,
Um, yeah, and then just kind of leave it at that. You're bringing the awareness
mhm.
in for the child so that they'll start to notice. And then once they start paying attention, then you can start having conversations that are like, so why do you think Thursdays? Have you noticed that this happens on Thursdays? Why do you think? To pull a kid aside and be like, I noticed on Thursdays this, and this happens. And then even like you might start leading them, right? Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I
Oh,
know that Thursdays is before Fun Friday and da 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 da. But if we can just like if we set the intention to just make the child aware so they start paying attention to it and then come back to the conversation, um, that will allow them to have something to say, and
right.
then
And
you can
if their
start to
processing is slower, right? So they're like, maybe they didn't even know it was every
oh, yeah. No.
Thursday. So then they're paying attention, they're processing it. It takes some days, and maybe it's you leave it at I was curious about that, right? In
Mhm.
a lighthearted sort of way, walking away. And then next Thursday when it happens, right when they come in, you could say, "I bet today will be your best day. I bet it
Mhm.
will. Could be. I wonder if it's gonna be my best day." And then leave
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then then when they have a hard time on a Thursday, well, we don't talk about Fun Friday. Hey, did you want to finish that conversation we had? I was
Mm.
curious about. Remember, I was curious about Thursdays,
Yeah. But
and we haven't talked about it for a week. I don't know if you had anything to add. And they'll say, and this is what makes I think adults mad when they're like, no, and then we want to like force them into saying something.
yeah.
They're only going to tell you if they're not ready to tell you. They're just going to tell you what they think you want to hear,
Yes.
right? Oh,
And
I'm supposed to say next Thursday I'm going to.
right.
whatever.
And I think how you approach that too, like when you said it's very nonchalant. So I would have definitely approached it in a way, well, I would have approached it in a way like, dude, it's Thursday. Remember we were talking about Thursdays? Like, and I said that I noticed that, like, and it's Thursday. How do you feel right now? Like,
Right.
let's talk about it. What's going on? Like,
Well, I think it's not hard
so
to
it's
use
not like,
dude. I call all kids dude. Dude. I mean,
I
I live on the
call,
ocean, so I forget.
dude, I call all kids dude.
Me too. But I
Dude,
think
or okay, so I had this thing where I would call some like I I would say babe,
yeah.
and it was very like I'd say it without thinking, and then the little kids like they I don't know if it bothered. I don't think it bothered them because they treated it like it was no big deal. But then it would slip for my middle schoolers, and I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's so cringe.
Right. And they'll tell you middle school, they'll tell you like, oh,
I
that's
know. You're like, oh, good.
oh
I
yeah,
miss
right.
middle school. So we have conversations, and that's really should be at the root of every strategy is trying to find out the why.
Yep. And have
So
conversations and then know that it's not gonna be right away.
right.
But people think they've struggled. If he struggled with Fun Friday, every single Fun Friday,
Yeah.
you think one conversation is going to change it? You're not a
Right.
miracle worker nor a owner of pixie dust. You just
Yeah.
have to
I mean,
chill.
I I threw around a few suggestions which they go against everything that school kind of stood on. They were pretty reward and punitive based.
I bet
But
they loved your strategies, Brett.
oh, oh. I mean, they did at the end when the district was forcing them to start using them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like all
Because
of a sudden, I knew what I was talking about.
so
God
what
love
were the
the Midwest.
strategies you suggested for this guy with Fun
Huh?
Friday? What was the
Oh,
strategies you
okay.
suggested?
So I mean, just brainstorming. You take to take the anxiety away, you let him go to Fun Friday. Let him
Yeah.
go. Doesn't matter what he does or what they do. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. Let them go. Let them experience it. That's gonna diminish
Always.
the
You're
stress
always going to go to Fun
response.
Friday. Yeah.
Right,
It's not a
right,
reward based system. Yeah.
right. Well, that's the first problem. Is
Yeah.
that if it was a celebration, a whole class celebration, you'd be meeting needs, right? Because you're meeting the
Yeah.
belonging,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're not um what's the word making the child
Excluded.
feel bad
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Right.
like you're
Shaming them.
taking away this big celebratory event, which is only going to increase the stress response. It doesn't make any sense to me, but
And
whatever.
Fun
uh,
Friday in the classes rooms I've gone in is like 20 minutes to a half an hour at the end of the day. It's not really even fun. It's not a whole Friday. It's like Fun Friday. That's like 20 minutes of Legos in a bin. Stop it.
oh no, this was
Oh, this
uh
is
we
okay.
do
What?
like an like movie length time,
Oh
and
no.
it was for both. It was for the kids and the teacher. Like,
Yeah.
like
Huh?
Um, but okay, so taking away just making Fun Friday so that the student earns it no matter what
Yeah.
to
Always good.
diminish the anxiety.
Yep.
Um, developing a plan, like because that's what you're when you said your what did you say? Coherent
Complexity.
complexity.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing to like you are changing the bar of where the student needs to be in order to earn Fun Friday.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Because you can't go from the couch to a 5K overnight, right? You go from
Nor
the
do I want
couch
to.
to
Yes.
walking and running to walking less and running more, and it's
To running
like
slow, to running faster, to
right,
running
right.
further. Yeah. Right.
And you make it attainable. Um, and it always needs to have that conversation with the kid. Really, let's just stop bribing students for compliancy, but
And I don't.
but
It's
then
so
you
hard.
oh, I was
I
just
was
gonna
just
say
gonna say it's so hard to get people on board with that, and I thought it would
you
be
don't
much easier when I started this job.
so I don't talk to a lot of people in Scotland. I have a lot of followers from Australia,
Me
the
too.
Netherlands. Yeah,
Australia and
Australia's
the
huge.
UK. I'm like
We gotta get out
famous.
there.
Why not?
Um,
Okay. Deal.
yeah, not now because they're in winter, but
No, no.
when
Nobody's
we're
going
in
there.
winter,
I
we
know.
know.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
going to right, which means in my 47-year-old brain, I just figured this out like uh embarrassingly not that long ago that they have Christmas then in the summer because they also celebrate Christmas December 25th. I'm like, but their December's in the summer. I was like, that's
you got
weird.
it like in July. Can
I'm like,
you
I guess
imagine?
it's not
Like,
having summer in July, but like that's real or
flip
Christmas in
flop.
July. Yeah, right. That was it took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to figure that out in my head.
That for it to like click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you saying about Scotland? You don't have
Oh,
were you gonna say
Scotland.
something?
So I had somebody from Scotland comment on one of my posts, and
Mm.
they said that we're still using behaviorism question mark in America. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
dude. It's a
You're not in
see,
Scotland?
dude.
Because in
Well,
Australia and in the UK they are also,
yeah, yeah, they are.
but not in
Which is
Scotland.
not in Scotland, not according to this one person that commented on my post that I'm now basing an entire country off of. No, not I don't know. I haven't checked out Scotland, and I don't talk to a lot of people from Scotland. So if you're not gonna lie, like it's just me and you talking. So I'm like, oh wait, we're live right now. If you are from Scotland, let me know in the comments.
Right,
Yeah.
because sometimes it could be like, I mean, my son goes to a school where there's no behaviorism. So if that's your only experience, it looks like nobody uses it. And I was like, oh, it's just in your school that's wonderful. But
Yeah.
everybody else does. But in
Yeah.
Australia and in the UK, they also
The
use
UK.
it. They
Mhm.
call it, they don't call it PBIS. They have a different acronym for it in Australia. Peace.
Oh.
Yeah, something like that.
Um,
But it's
so
everywhere.
it does get tricky with self-sabotaging because the uh, the behavior can turn into a habit, right?
Yes, right. Yep.
And I kind of want to touch on that. How do we get the student from self like once they've self-sabotaged so much that the brain has created a habit around it.
Right.
And with habits, you have the cue and the association.
Mm-hmm.
I created a reel today about changing up the association. If you have a student that's been punished previously in the past in a certain environment or with a certain activity, the brain will start to avoid that environment and that activity because the brain pairs that activity with the fight or flight response. So if you're trying to get a student to change the association and therefore change the habitual behavior like avoidance or self-sabotaging, you have to change what that association feels like and looks like. And that could be, I mean, as honestly, for some students, it could be as simple as like changing, literally just changing the color of the paper
Yep.
so that it's not, like this white paper. I mean, change up the font too, and it's going to look completely different, but the brain's going to register that as a different association. Also
And
changing.
if you do that, though, Britt, we also have to. A lot of times, adults are trying to think of these strategies, like you and I are trying to think of strategies that could help self-sabotage. Yet we don't tell the kids what we're trying to do. We have to also have the conversation with the kids to say, "Hey, you know what? There is this and this, and I'm trying to change up the association, and I'm going to try to change it with, I'm going to try to change the font in the paper. And I want you to tell me if that, right? So it's not this mystery secret little, like, I'm chasing the lie, but only with the adults and the kids aren't going to know,
Yeah,
right? We
yeah,
forget to tell the kids, like, we've incorporated more movement in our day. Why? Because it's healthy for you. Why are we not telling
yeah.
the kids
Right. Well, because I feel like people, adults, teachers feel like it's a very cumbersome topic, the brain,
that?
teaching the brain to children.
That,
Um,
yes. With a
it
lot of
is,
big
and it
words.
is.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that.
But there are so many good resources out there, strategies.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually developing a freebie for April that has three activities that teach students what the striatum does. The striatum is the section of the brain that's a part of the reward network and the attention network, and it attaches to the hippocampus and the executive functioning, and it
Mm.
controls habit and motivation, and executive functioning actions like focusing and planning and organizing. So there are activities out there, there are strategies out there. And if we set an intention to teach students from a very young age what their brain does, it's going to be easier to have those conversations with, hey, I'm changing up the paper color because I want you all to create a better feeling around um, your math work. We're going to
Yeah.
see if this works. We're going to see if you feel different, and let's try it. And if you don't feel different, let me know. We could try something else, but we're changing up the associations, and they would know what association means. Like, your brain's
Yeah.
associating the math work with anger and negative feelings and feeling dumb, and.
So every time you get a green piece of paper, because that's the math, your brain automatically thinks it's mad. And I wonder if I give you a white piece of paper, if the brain won't go there. So we're going to
Mhm.
check it out. I know when
Yeah.
I teach the brain, right, I'm always like, when I first heard hippocampus or amygdala, I'm like, who made up the words to those? And I always joke, I'm like, I think it's the same person that made up the words to the dinosaurs. Like,
Oh,
why does it have to be so hard? Like hippocampus. I was like, just draw what a hippocampus is, right? And you could learn with the kids. You can mess it up. You have to be
yeah,
really okay with, right? Because I'm not really good at science,
yeah,
and I have to learn in the kids realm for science, right? I need a kid book. I need them to tell me, and
yeah, and it's
right,
fun.
yeah, and we have to just be okay with not knowing.
Oh yeah, always,
Always.
always. You
We
have
never
to be
get to
okay
the
with not
point of,
knowing.
we're never. What are you doing? The three things on the what
The
part of the brain?
striatum.
Yeah, the striatum in my head. If you were like, what does the striatum do? I'm like, probably makes me run real fast. Right? That's the sprinting part of my brain.
Why? Because
I
the
don't know. That's just when you said it. In my
strive.
head, I thought, right, I was a sprinter through college, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's the part of the brain that made me fast. That's not
Well,
true.
actually, it
Oh,
kind of is, because the striatum is also associated with motor function and movement.
so it is
So,
the part.
yeah. So let's say you were out on the track,
Mm-hmm.
and your executive functioning processes, okay, I'm at track practice. I'm going to run as fast as I can because this is going to help me on race day. And so your hippocampus would recall all of the memories that you need to run fast,
Yep.
according to what you've done in the past and that has worked for you. And your striatum would then release the dopamine that it needs to, like, motivate you to take the action. And the striatum, and I think the I want to say corpus callosum, but that's not right. The cerebellum would then get your body moving and your nerves and all of the muscles and tendons. And so kind of, yeah, your striatum is everything is complicated. Everything with the brain is
and kind of connected.
yeah,
That's how the brain works.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. But so the live that I had yesterday was talking about how drumming patterns can strengthen the striatum because that motor function, the striatum uses that motor function, and the striatum is also associated with emotional regulation, reward network, and attentive network. So I think the main point I'm trying to get across in this roundabout, crazy storytelling way that I
Well,
got
I'm
to
like,
stick
you're
myself
here.
up.
It's in a roundabout way with you and I.
Yeah, is that there's all these because the brain has so many associative networks, like the parts associate with other parts. There's so many different ways that we can motivate students to do things, and we can
Yeah.
change the direction that self-sabotaging could look like. We just have to we have to know more about the brain and know more about behavior and motivation, and always be asking that why.
And again, that is where you and I run into a problem with our jobs because I mean, I have a master's in early childhood. I didn't learn about any of that
Oh,
when
I know.
when I went to my master's program. So what I did learn in behavior is the stickers, tickets, tokens, points, clips, or candy. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
So then you have to unlearn that. And now being a teacher is really tricky right now. But now you have this crazy girl named Meg trying to tell you to get new information. And there's really no way around that because you do need to know about the brain. You do need to understand chasing why. You do need to know about temperaments and motivation and not the stuff you learned in school, unfortunately. And we're sorry for that, but
Yeah.
you
But
can't do it.
there are accounts. I mean, there are accounts like ours. There's
Yeah,
YouTube channels. There's so much information out there. My email list I give out a ton of freebies.
same
Uh
with me.
yeah, and there we there are resources. We just have to make them more readily available. Like people need to I guess do more. Maybe like I'm saying people. I feel like accounts like ours just need to maybe be bringing awareness to the resources that do exist. Like I
Mm.
found a really good Medium post on neurology in the brain, or neurology and teaching. And I can share that. Like I think I need to be better at like getting resources out to the public.
And me too. And I also want to always try to like light a spark under your fanny to say like, hey, I can't give you, and we've talked about this, Britt, you and I before. Like, I can't give you all the knowledge I know in the comment section of Instagram. The 12 years, almost 13 years I've been doing this. Like, I can
Oh
get you
yeah.
going. I can tell you what like path to go on, but you have to want to do it. You have to want it to be more successful for the kids to have different ways to fight that PBIS. You have to want that. If you don't want it, there's nothing. I could give you all my stuff in my shop. I could give it all to you for free, but if you're not going to look at it, what's that going to do?
Right. Right.
Right? So I'm always trying to set like I want to know all the information. Right? Because
Yeah.
that's what I did. When I learned that it wasn't extrinsic, it was intrinsic motivation. I was like, what? And then I
Yeah.
went and I did it in a time where you like went in person to see people. There was no social media, there was no lives. You had to like
Yeah.
we had the internet, but it wasn't Encyclopedia Britannica, right? You weren't looking up autism at Encyclopedia Britannica, but
Yeah.
now it's right lived experiences and finding the people who understand it because their brain works like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
that's what we have to do. And I think people want an easy way around that because the job of teaching is really tricky and there's not really an easy way. I guess you think of it like at least you and I make it fun. We're like
Yeah.
fun and colorful and
It's like
uh,
bite. I feel like it's got to be bite size.
yeah. But if
Unless
you
you're
do bite size, it's going to take you years, and that's okay.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been studying the brain for, oh man, since I was like 19.
And you're only what, 22, right?
No.
I'm 28. I tell people I'm 28. I think I'm almost to the part where it looks like I'm lying. So I was like, as long as I can get away with it, I'm going to do it. The kids the other day did an assembly, right, where I solved the double empathy problem, and I had sparkles on, and I'm like, how old do you think I am? 5-year-old said 86, and I was like, well, I look good for 86.
I feel
Sweet.
good for 86.
Yeah, real good for 86. 26, not so good. 28, not so good, I guess.
No, that's, yeah, I'm gonna be 40 in 3 years, which is crazy to
Wait,
me to
3
think.
years?
Yeah.
I'm going to be 50 in 3 years.
Yeah, you're 10 years older than me.
That doesn't make me
See, I
happy.
don't have any reaction, like, I don't.
No, I just don't want to be 50. It's not that I'm 10 years older than you, which is so funny because we put kids in groups of 5-year-olds all learn together, 6-year-olds all learn together, 7-year-olds all learn
Yeah.
together. Yet you're 37. I'm 47.
Yeah.
Ashlyn is, how old is
30?
she?
30.
Really, nobody likes her. So she's 30, and all of us are friends and do
Yeah.
work together and
Uh-huh.
influence each other and give each
Learning
other
from each
information.
other. Right.
Yet you don't do that until you get in the work world.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, Montessori, they do the
Yeah, they
3 year,
do. Yeah,
and I
but
think
that's
that's
not the typical way of in
yeah,
America
no.
of learning, unfortunately.
So action steps, because I have to go. I have to finish
Yeah,
my
same.
taxes.
I just heard my dog like sit by the door, meaning, "Hey, lady, it's 5:05 and it's time for me to eat dinner." I have a fat dog that wants to eat food.
That has really good habits. Like,
Yeah, right. He has an associate.
yeah.
Yeah, so take
They
so
train
action
good adults.
steps. Our action steps, mine are chase the why, start a conversation, be open to the conversation taking a while.
Yeah.
What are your action steps?
My action steps are always, you always have to chase the why. And with meet the needs theory, I always
Mm.
say when you're chasing the why, you're looking for a compromised need. Autonomy is safety, comfort, autonomy, belonging, and competency.
Mhm.
So one of those needs have been compromised, and you need to figure out which one. Once
That would
you
be
know,
great. Those 5 would be great to even talk to kids about. To
yeah,
say, like,
well, 100%, yeah.
yeah, that's a great
Uh,
conversation.
yeah, and if anybody, I'm gonna um, shout myself out here, but if
You're allowed to.
anybody wants to know more about that method, or if you want a checklist on like how to observe the behavior, also interview the kids, all of your kids.
Yeah, that
Even
can
if
be a
it's just like a
conversation.
10-question interview to find out what they struggle with. Because if you can find out what they struggle with, then you are going to get to the why a heck of a lot faster if you know what they struggle with.
And you don't have any other way of knowing that because you don't live inside their brain.
Right.
So then it's just adults guessing at an IEP meeting. And you're like,
Yeah.
why don't we just ask the kid? He probably knows.
Right.
Or at
Right.
least has
My
some sort
3-year-old
of idea.
does. She'll tell you point blank. Oh man, she's a trip. Okay. So my action steps are find out the why, and you're gonna do that through observing the behavior, talking to the kid, and understanding what their struggles are so that you can find out which need has been compromised: safety, comfort, autonomy, belonging, and competency. And then from there, then you've got to message Meg or I.
And I think we both
Because I'm not going to give out any more information because your brain can't hold on to it.
no. And ditch the reward system. So if there's a self-sabotaging happening and there's a reward system involved,
Mhm.
I always say you're gonna go to the kid and you'll be like, you know what? Fun Friday's been tough, and I've been making it tough because I've used it as a punishment, or I've You have to get so many points to get there. I don't know why I was thinking that. That seems mean now that I'm thinking about it. Right? We have to be honest. We can't just take it away without a conversation, because then
Yeah.
they think that they're in trouble or they're bad or they're
Yeah.
it's something to do with their soul and their insides and their emotional,
Yeah.
mental health
And
piece.
they're programmed. They are programmed.
Oh,
They will get upset if you take away the reward, even if you're replacing it with like a non-contingent
yep.
celebration. You're like, no, it's like I remember taking away because I had like a fun Friday. And I switched it so that it was just the one time a month we all played Smash Brothers together.
Mm,
And they didn't want that. They had to earn it because they could not comprehend
right.
that they were just going to get it. And it took other students like, no, you guys don't get it. Like we're gonna
Yep.
all be able to go. Like they wouldn't even like what I was saying was not registering at all. They just heard reward is being taken away. Like
And teachers will say this to me. I know you have to go, but will say this to me. But my kids love it. Well, you know what? When you say I'm going to take it away, you have to be what Dr. Becky Goodenside would say, a sturdy leader. You have to say, I know that the adults have done this with you for a long time, but I also know it's not good. So we're not going to do it. What sort of rewards were fun for you? We will do them anyway because they're fun and I want everybody to love coming to school. But you're not going to give in. So a lot of adults are like, oh, I asked them. They said they want to earn it. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Nope.
Yeah.
Because you know it's bad.
You know, young brains can get addicted too.
Yeah.
And rewards are very addicting.
Very addicting. And the rewards are kind of stupid in every place I've ever been. They come from the dollar store, Five Below, or Orangetown Trading Company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're really going now, everybody.
Yes.
No, that Britt and I could talk for 7 hours. But
what?
we could talk for 7 hours, you and I.
We could. Oh, I just want to check to see if there were any questions. What are we talking about? I've just tuned in, but I'm a teacher in the UK. That was a while ago. But so we were talking about Scotland.
When you this has nothing to do with when I went to see if I was live. I have other accounts, so I think I'm live right now on Meg Thompson voiceover, which is interesting.
What is that? Meg Thompson what?
Voiceover. So I tried to be a voiceover actor.
Did
whatever.
you really?
Yeah, because I always am recognized by my voice. So I was like, oh, I'll try it. It's just it was too many things on my plate. But so I think that's where I'm live right now. That's what it says on Instagram. So
That's funny. Well,
will you collab with me when you post it? Because
yeah.
Okay.
This is a longer one. I don't know how posting it's gonna go. This is an hour. But I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Or I can make a reel.
Oh yeah.
Bye, I love you.
Okay, bye, I love you.